Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're talking Celtics and NBA today. Big news. It's not official, but it sounds like Kemba Walker is going to be leaving the Hornets to join the Celtics and potentially be the Kyrie Irving replacement. So, how do we feel about it, Eli?
I don't know. I think that Kemba will cause less drama in the locker room, but at the same time, it seems that as an overall player, we downgraded. Kemba, I think, is just a smaller, older, and I think not as good as Kemba, or not as good as Kyrie. So I think overall we downgraded, but I think he'll fit better in Brad Stevens' system. So I think that kind of worked itself out like that.
Yeah, maybe we upgraded in the sense that he's more of a professional and more of a team player, and he won't sell you out in the media.
Yeah.
And he'll be a decent guy in the locker room. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little Brad Stevens challenge here. Assuming that we get Kemba, and assuming that we don't sign any big name, big man free agents, who's your starting five? Tell me who your starting five is, and I'll tell you why it's probably not going to work.
Okay, so not signing anyone at all. So just signing Kemba?
Just Kemba.
Okay, so
We just guaranteed Semi Ojale this option yesterday. So
okay, so Kemba point guard, Jaylen Brown shooting guard. Between small forward and power forward could be interchangeable between Jason Tatum and Gordon Hayward, but
okay.
I think,
So you're saying those two guys start?
yeah, those two guys start together. Either small forward, power forward, and then center. Ooh, I guess Robert Williams because we don't have anyone.
Time Lord.
Yeah.
So it's the Time Lord. Okay, so that's probably the most logical, opening day starting five lineup. But if you look at what happened last year, once Marcus Smart was sort of forced into the starting role, then the team found themselves. They found their defensive footing. He just, was first team All NBA defense. He wins the NBA Hustle Award. Then you bench him. Is that going to work, or do you have a choice?
Well, Smart comes off the bench anyway. He's used to it. Smart's not a guy that's like, I want to start. He doesn't care if he starts as long as we're winning.
But he was starting last year.
And we didn't do as well. So I'm saying that Smart off the bench is better than starting Smart. I think he's more of an impact player, especially with that second unit. If we don't re-sign Terry Rozier, then he can be starting, the sixth man, or not the sixth man, but like the point guard off the bench.
Yeah.
And then him and Romeo Langford off the bench is going to be pretty decent. But yeah, I think right now, benching Smart is going to be the least of our worries. We need to sign a big man. And I heard multiple things like we're trying to trade for Clint Capella. So that should be interesting.
That would answer a lot of questions about how the roster is going to shake out. Because as of right now, we're really thin on big men. Here, I'll throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
Kemba starting at point guard. Smart starting at shooting guard.
Okay.
With me so far?
Okay.
Gordon Hayward at small forward. Grant Williams at power forward.
Okay.
Time Lord at center. Tatum off the bench. Brown off the bench.
Kind of killing my vibe.
Okay.
I don't know about that. But Grant Williams is a actual power forward. So I see where you're coming from, actually, because now that with Robert Williams, Tatum is kind of a liability at the power forward position. So we need, if we are going to play Tatum, we need a big man like
I'm trying to figure out how we're going to defend against bigs, because something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable is, pick whoever you want to be your four, whether it's Tatum or Hayward. When they guard Blake Griffin, doesn't that make you a little bit uncomfortable? Like Tatum on Blake Griffin?
Tatum is kind of like
he's a three.
Yeah, he's a strong three. Not to mention that he doesn't have much muscle. He's not very big.
Right, he has really incredible length, but in terms of his center of gravity and his strength and his base, he's a three. What do you think about Stevens? Has tried some crazy things before. He's not afraid to experiment. What do you think about the lineup? Sort of like you mentioned it. except instead of Bob Williams, you just play Grant Williams at small ball 5. Just Draymond Green, straight up Draymond.
Well, so my lineup, like without Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, yours is it's Kemba, Jaylen, Jason Tatum, Hayward, and then Grant Williams, small ball 5.
I mean, it's kind of like the Golden State Warriors, except we can't shoot as good as them, obviously. But it's like a lot of those guys can shoot the 3, and I think we're not really going for defense with that lineup. So we're not going to stop our opponent. We're going to outscore them, I think.
Mm-hmm. What if you did a similar lineup, except instead of Jaylen Brown, you just start Smart?
I mean, that would work better, I think, with that lineup. Especially since Smart is only improving his 3-point shot, and then Kemba's just a killer. So, yeah, I think that could work, and I think it has to be tried. I think Brad Stevens is not going to just go without trying that, especially if it's like maybe. One of those weaker games, doesn't really matter. I mean, every game counts, obviously, but it's like if we're, farther in the season and we're kind of just not, like last season when the Bucks guaranteed the first seed, maybe we just try the lineup, see how it works.
Mm-hmm. I think that Stevens will try some stuff like that. I'm looking at this and going like, how do you got your too many wings? Like, where are you going to find time for Shemi Ojale to play? We haven't even gotten into the young kids, really. So let's assume that the starting lineup is something like what you said originally. Then how do you like that second unit, the way that it looks? Let's say you got Smart, Langford, Ojale, Grant Williams. I think we're going to sign a free agent, so I think Time Lord is going to be our backup.
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty exciting second 5.
Yeah, it's exciting, but what's not exciting is that the fact that we drafted 2 point guards and they won't be in that second unit because of Kemba. I mean, not saying that Kemba's going to, he's bad, but he's like, we drafted a player like Carson Edwards and Trayvon Waters, who I think they look pretty promising. And I would love to see how this squad without Kemba would have played out, but I think Kemba is just like, he's brilliant, I think he's going to be better than Kyrie with the Celtics.
Yeah, and I think Smart is going to find some more minutes at the 2. And I think if you look at some of those bench lineups with Carson Edwards maybe at the point, Carson Edwards and then Marcus Smart locking down their best player. Smart does have this sort of calming effect on lineups. He gets them into their sets, and I think that he can work really well with the rookies now. How many rookies you can put in one lineup is a question mark, but...
We'll see with the Pelicans because they have a whole roster of rookies, it seems.
Yeah.
But can Romeo Langford play the small forward? Because then we could possibly play Carson Edwards, Smart, Romeo Langford, and then Ojale at power forward, possibly, or Robert Williams.
It's
all
tough to say. Yeah, I mean, it's all matchup dependent, right?
Okay.
So he showed in college that he did a pretty decent job guarding a guy like R.J. Barrett, who's a big, strong 3. So... in that sense, it can work. I don't know if you want to do that all day long, and I don't think that he shows most of his offensive advantages best at the 3. I think he probably is a 2. Okay. And I think that Stevens is going to look to get him, those sets where Jaylen Brown would catch it on the wing, and he'd have an option to drive baseline, and then Baines would be inside doing that sneaky little seal move so the guy couldn't react. Yeah. We don't have a Baines in there, but I can see Grant Williams doing that same thing, and with Romeo cutting to the lane, and Romeo's a finisher. So I'm sure that these gears have been going in Stevens' head, ever since draft night. So overall, Kemba, you like the idea of it? You're like giving the money? Yeah.
The thing is, like, we're looking to lock him up for 4 or 5 years, which then it's kind of frustrating because he's like in his 30s now, isn't he? So it's
Kemba's 29.
29. Okay. Wow, he's 30 pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah. You hear the 20 and it's like, oh, he's kind of young. Nope, he's not. But lock him up for like 4 or 5 years. By the time he gets to the end of his contract, he's going to be. I'm hoping he's still going to be good, but he's not going to be at his peak. Now he's basically just entered his peak last season, like what he did.
If you look at his numbers, that was his best year probably, but it was a contract year, of course.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of a risky move to take, but I think Brad Stevens can get the best out of him. Whether we sign him for 4 or 5 years, we're always going to get the best out of him, and he's going to be a great Celtic.
Awesome. I feel the same way. Welcome to Boston, Kemba.
Mm-hmm.